Are you ready for the weekend yet? We have events, news, and a guest for you to enjoy this Lake Life weekend. Hello and welcome to another episode of Lake Life Weekend Podcast. I'm Dirk, I'm your host. We are approaching weekend 23. It's June, school is out, summer is here. Everybody is happy. Many new guests to the area. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We are in full swing with summer activities, street fairs. Detroit Lakes had a street fair last week. Perham is coming up with a street fair. We are really looking forward to Looney Days in August. That's a little out. Many things you want to stay updated on our website, lakelifeweekend.com. We have a daily event schedule and some stories. Thank you for checking that out regularly. In today's interview, we have Steve and Bruce, the owners of Rave Sports, and we visited them in Eagan, Minnesota, to capture their story on how to become owners of a fun-selling company. You may not really know, like, Rave Sports, what's that? But actually everybody has seen those yellow-blue trampolines, water trampolines floating around. That is Rave Sports. It's a Minnesota company, and they are having way more product and fun things to offer than that. They have stand-up paddle boards, a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't even know. I visited their facility and went through their showroom and their back hidden treasure warehouse, and it was filled with fun things. It was amazing, and I was very happy to speak to them and hear their story. They grew up with lake life as children, as all we do here in Minnesota, and a good 10 years ago they acquired Rave Sports and have grown it since. They distribute product nationwide, actually worldwide, and I think it was an amazing story. I was really excited to meet with them and hear more about that, and I hope to be able to connect to them more in the future. So watch out for that. So now I don't want to keep this much longer for this interview. Please visit lakelifeweekend.com for daily updates on our event schedule. If you have questions, ideas, critique, please email us to hello@lakelifeweekend.com. And we are looking forward to hearing from you. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to receive latest pictures and updates also that way. Thanks and have a great weekend ahead. Welcome to our interview part. I'm here with Bruce and Steve. Hi.
Hello.
And we are in Eagan, Minnesota, at the Rave Sports headquarters. And you connected with me recently, and I learned about all your products. I would like to share the history and how you became owners of a water equipment, a fun product company. But before we talk about Rave Sports and all their products, tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe we start with Bruce. Where are you from, and what did you do before owning a company?
Sure. Well, I grew up in Minnesota. Went to school, my college up in Fargo, Moorhead. Started out my career as a banker. Actually, I was a banker for about 8 years, and then left banking and went to private enterprise as a CFO. So I have a heavy finance background, and actually was involved in taking the company public back in the 90s. I teamed up with Steve later in my career, I guess, in
2000.
2000. We've been together since then, doing some consulting work, and then ultimately we ended up purchasing Rave Sports back in 2009. So, brief background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Steve?
So I'm from Edina, Minnesota, but went to school in Eden Prairie High School. Went to college at St. Olaf. Left after college to work in Oslo, Norway for a year as a bartender. Came back and worked for what is now Ameriprise. At the time it was IDS Financial Services for a couple of years. Went to business school at Harvard, and then between first and second year business school I worked for a consulting company called Boston Consulting Group, and was working in Chicago for a couple of years. after graduation, and then transferred to our new offices in Stockholm, Sweden, where I stayed for 7 years working for big international companies all over Europe, and then came back to the U.S. and worked out of our Chicago office, but living in Minnesota for a couple of years, and then left for the allure of the .com as CEO of a small .com called eBody. Did aesthetic procedures, or content related to aesthetic procedures like hair transplants, breast augmentation, liposuction, teeth whitening, health, wellness, fitness, that kind of thing. And then ended up connecting with Bruce in end of 2000, and we formed a consulting company called Genoa Business Advisors, which we still do consulting. As part of that process, we got involved with an automotive distribution business called Pam Oil, which we came in and took over in 2003, 2004. We sold that to a company in Appleton, Wisconsin called U.S. Oil, and then we worked for a couple more years for U.S. Oil, and that was right around the time when I was asked to join the board of Rave, and eventually we bought Rave out, and Bruce continued to work for a little while for U.S. Oil, and then we both were kind of full-time here since late 2009.
So serial entrepreneurs.
Serial entrepreneurs, yeah.
And number heavy.
Yeah.
Numbers. And then maybe the roles. Are you, Bruce, the CFO, more the numbers, and you're more the creative? Or how is your work divided?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of handled the operations and the financial side of the business, and then Steve takes the sales and the marketing side of the business. So.
Okay, so
we both get involved in lots of different stuff kind of together and make decisions jointly on many things. We talk multiple times every day on almost every topic, but he does have a much more heavy on the finance side than I do.
Yeah, your offices are right next to each other.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
I just got the big tour, and it's a huge facility with boxes and many toys. Like if I think about owning a fun company, let's just call it a fun company. Yeah, is that okay with you?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you're providing fun activities. So was it how did you? Is it passion? Like, are you very passionate? How does that work? Buying a company like that? I mean, emotion.
Well, I mean, I grew up in the Lake Country.
Yeah.
I grew up in southern Minnesota in Albert Lee, which has a lake right in the middle of town. So I water skied since I was 4 or 5 years old, and throughout high school, and enjoyed the water sports that way. And then after I got married and started a family, first thing we did was we bought a cabin. So we owned our cabin since 1984. So for the last almost 30 years, we spent our weekends out there in the water. And yeah, I have a ski boat, and I have almost every Rave towable out there that we can pull around the lake, and we very much enjoy the lake.
So and we have, my family's had a cabin up in northern Wisconsin, in Hayward, Wisconsin, since the 1960s. It used to be a resort that went bankrupt, and 10 guys from Minnesota bought the whole thing out for peanuts back in 1966. My dad was invited in a couple years later, and then we've grown up with this amazing group of people, mostly from Minneapolis, and we share all the water activities. So we own boats together, water ski boat, pontoon boat, fishing boats, that stuff. Now we've got all of our Rave products, including towables, a giant slide that goes down the hill.
Oh, you're still at the property?
Yeah, we still have that. We it's a bigger complex than it was when I was a kid, but we have the same family structure as we had for 50 years.
Wow.
And it's a fantastic place, and I'm the most popular guy in the water at our place because I constantly bring up all the new stuff to test. So we have paddle boards and kayaks and trampolines and slides and towables and new water skis and other things. So
do they have to test them and give you feedback?
Yeah, they test. In fact, they're probably displayed in our catalog. They're all very willing to be participants and models because they benefit by having us test all of our stuff up there.
Fun.
And one of them is actually working in our warehouse now.
Okay.
So.
Well, like I am from Germany, and this lake life and growing up in Minnesota, that's foreign to me, and I learned this just recently, but you all grew up on the lake. It's so natural. I still believe, I don't know really, it's a well-kept secret in the whole United States, our lifestyle in Minnesota, Wisconsin. Is it?
Yeah, in the Midwest,
That's
yep.
true.
So,
we have a lot of freshwater lakes that are clean enough to swim in. We don't have varmints and stuff in the water up here.
No
like they
alligators
do.
or
No
poisonous
alligators.
snakes, yeah. Which
Water
they do down in
moccasins.
the south, yeah.
That's true.
So the glacier lake, lakes that run across the northern part of the U.S., we're very much in the heart of that, Wisconsin and Minnesota, and that's where you get the most enjoyment, I think, out of freshwater lakes.
So it was an easy decision for you in 2009 to actually jump on a product or a company that you relate from your youth with? Was it?
It's nice to be passionate about something, and we do enjoy working here. The staff is fantastic, and the products are interesting and fun. We do spend time in the summer testing products and out in the lakes and setting things up. I'll even go to camps in Massachusetts or Pennsylvania and help do setups. And so you get to meet a lot of people who are also passionate about what they do as part of that process. And it is fun. Families love coming and grabbing their stuff. What they don't realize is that Rave is more than just our yellow and blue trampolines. That's what we're known for. But they don't realize that everything related to water, they probably can touch our stuff and have fun with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a dream job that you have. I'm fairly jealous, I must admit. But curious, you sell nationwide, probably worldwide?
Worldwide, yeah. So that's also something that people don't understand, is that we are a Minnesota-based company.
Yeah.
Have been since the inception in 1996. And we are the manufacturers of the Rave stuff.
Correct.
So, and most people think, oh, you're Rave, you must be one of those people that sells trampolines out by the lake. Which location do you have? We're the ones that make the product, sell to all the locations. We sell to big retailers like Shields, Mills Fleet Farm, L&M up in northern Minnesota,
Target,
Target, Reed's up in northern Minnesota. So we've got a lot of great partners that sell and support all of our Rave products. But we do sell worldwide, and we'll sell big installations for camps and resorts. We'll sell a lot of stuff in Europe and in Asia and South America as well.
How many countries?
A dozen maybe or more.
Okay, wow.
I mean, we sell water park tubes in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, as well as Spain and U.S. and New Zealand, Indonesia. Yeah, lots of places.
When it was founded, maybe you can give us a little bit about the story. 20-year-old anniversary this year? Next year?
Last year was the 20th anniversary. The original company was founded on a couple of companies. One was a company called Suncat. They did these electronic boats, like little, almost like a bike boat, but with a battery. And another company called Aqua Toys. And so they had, smaller water products, and someone, I don't know exactly who, but came up with the concept of this heavy-duty reinforced PVC, which is basically threads that are interwoven, dipped in PVC, and that's what gives it the structural support to make it so it holds air. Normal PVC could either leak, or it's not that strong, so it's not indestructible. Whereas our trampolines are, they're really big. They'll last years and years if you take care of them properly. And those guys came up with that concept. And originally, I think it was $10,000 for a trampoline, and the only people who could afford them were celebrities. And we did get, or they got, I should say, before our time, got a lot of popularity with a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin.
Okay.
And they showed one of these trampolines in the background, and suddenly the sales just went through the roof.
Of course.
And but
Interesting.
Yes, and so before Bruce and I came in, the company was mostly the trampolines, which have springs, and bouncers, which look like a trampoline, but they don't have springs. So
water trampolines or trampolines? For
no, they're these yellow and blue water trampolines. So one version has springs in them, and the other version has no springs.
Okay.
So the ones without the springs still work really well and provide a larger surface area, but they're not quite as bouncy.
Sure.
And a lot of times you find that people like the ability to have a higher bouncing and do flips and that kind of stuff. And other people are looking more for like a floating raft. And our bongo bouncers are really suitable for that.
Okay.
So again, the history then. So they went on to also buy a company called R2, which did these inflatable paintball bunkers. And then
for paintball shooting?
Yeah, you'd hide behind them as you're shooting paintballs, so like little courses and stuff like that.
Sure.
Which was quite big, I guess, in the 90s. Maybe early 2000s, somewhere in there.
I remember.
Yeah. And now they're probably more, even though they still do it, it might be like on farmland or indoor with different kind of options. So the bunkers are maybe a little less important. And then when we came into the company, we bought them out in 2009. The three previous owners continue to work with us for years. A couple of them have since retired. Our head of R&D, Tom Plant, he was one of the former owners, and he's still here. He celebrated his 20th anniversary this Monday.
Oh,
So we're happy to have him still be around. And he's invented all, most of our products probably since that time.
You hold patents. You actually are the inventors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So him okay, that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
So we have patents and we have design elements and things that have been part of the company since both before and since we bought the company. And then once we bought the company in 2009, we expanded from predominantly boat towables and trampolines and bouncers to include water parks. We do big installations for large water parks worldwide, and we work directly with two of the top manufacturers of water park, the slides themselves, with unique products that,
And pieces where you sit in and slide down big tubes.
Right, like the Kalahari or, Disney World or places like, Universal Studios in Florida. Those kind of people have large parks that they, and the Mall of America has a big water park. And
That's a commercial.
yes,
sales.
commercial operations, and we sell the tubes, the vehicles that you use to go down these giant slides. So we expanded into water parks. We've expanded into we bought a company in 2012 called Aviva, and they had both pool floats and these larger obstacle courses, and we've converted that into a Rave obstacle courses and still sell the pool floats under the Aviva brand name.
What kind of flamingo? What kind
that
of
kind of thing?
Yeah,
Those kinds of things, sure.
Okay.
All kinds of different floating and pool products that people really like.
Yeah.
And then we expanded into water skis and wakeboards and life jackets and ropes and stand-up paddle boards.
When was that?
Almost every year since 2010, we've come out with an additional different version. And then last year and a half, 2 years ago, we bought a...
Wait. What drives you? I mean, like you. I mean, I don't. It's like,
Well,
how does that happen that you decide to add? Yeah.
Well, when we bought the company, it was pretty much had a very narrow product line, trampolines and bouncers and towables. And I mean, being in both of us familiar with the water sports business or water sports recreation, we knew that there were other toys and other vehicles and other things in the market that we should have added to complement our water sports business. And so that's how we really just started adding things, creating our own. Some of the, the Aviva brand we bought. The water skis, we basically created our own line, a very nice line of water skis now. And so we've just been enhancing the overall catalog because we wanted to be a full line water sports company so that we would have a complement of all recreational water sports activities.
Lake Life Company.
Lake
Yeah,
Life, yes,
Lake
there
Life
we go.
Company, that's right.
I love it. No, okay.
So you also have channels that you distribute through, right? So we sell to Shields as an example. If you have the ability to sell them paddle boards, you'd also like to sell them boat towables, which they also buy life jackets, which they also buy paddles, and maybe they buy pool floats and those kinds of things. So
cross-selling opportunity.
Yeah. So if you have, and many of these places, it's difficult to get the meetings because they don't want to buy a one-trick pony. If all we had was 5 towables, they would never talk to us. But once you're in with something, now you've got a legitimate right to be there. They're willing to talk to you about other things. So as an example, we bought this company a year and a half, 2 years ago now, called Wildfowler, that does camouflage clothing and hunting equipment, predominantly for bird hunting, but we've expanded into upland and other things, counter-seasonal business. But the advantage is if you're talking to a company like L&M or Shields about your Rave products, now you can just go next door and talk to the buyer who does their camouflage, and you're already a vendor, you're already there, and they're willing to have a conversation. You're already set up to sell and to process invoices and everything else. It's much easier for us to expand in other things than it would be for some dude that has a camo company.
Sure, but like you also have you have a quality product. You have 20 years of history. Are you the market leader in trampoline, I assume?
Oh yeah, we probably have.
Yes, in trampolines and bounces, we're
probably
Right?
75 to 80% of the market.
Really?
Worldwide, yeah.
So, no, I believe it.
for these products. But then in
Right.
other segments, maybe we're a smaller participant. But we do typically have an image that is supporting the recreational market. So when we look at designing a line of water skis, we have really good, high-quality water skis at a reasonable price that people can afford. And if you're going to be the high-end competitor water skier, you're going to go out and buy a $2,000 water ski. That's not us. Now, we have a really good, high-quality slalom ski that we just came out with this year, and it is a very good ski for a recreational skier. And you don't have to spend $2,000 to do it. But if you're a competitor, the top 5%, you might decide to do something different. Our paddle boards are designed to be in a reasonable price point from maybe, $500 or $600 to $1,000, but there are many competitors that sell $2,500 paddleboards, and that's not us.
But let's talk more a little bit more about your development and like
R&D.
And one fascinating element or story is you have an invention yourself, Steve.
Oh yeah.
So I would like to learn about that. So what did you invent and why? And how did you come up with that?
So when I was a kid growing up in Hayward, Wisconsin, there were many kids that learned to water ski, and I was a big water skier like Bruce. And we both, as younger people, have been on the water helping some younger kid get up out of the water. And normally you stand in water that's 2 or 3 feet deep. They've got a life jacket on. The life jacket's way up to their ears. Their skis are flapping back and forth. They're nervous. They're scared. And then you say, hit it, and they go about 15 or 20 feet, and then they fall down in deep water, and you swim out and have to go pick them up and bring them back to shore, or the boat's got to loop around you, and it's just a pain.
They're getting scared and frustrated.
Right. And so I don't know, 2011, I think, came up with this concept of 2 pontoons on the sides and a little seat in between. I talked to Tom Plant, our head of R&D, about the concept. He drew up something that same day, sent it over to our factory, and within a month we had a prototype. We tested
Not
it.
so fast.
Yeah.
It's 2 floats. It's pretty much 2 bananas.
Yeah, 2 banana
And
like
a
little
seat
pontoons
in
on the side
between.
with a seat in between. And what the advantage is, you can put your skis in the water and sit on top of it. It works for adults. I use it when I go slalom skiing just because I save my energy from getting out of the water. We had an 80-year-old guy. Yeah, yes, a cheater. We had an 80-year-old guy who was in a ski show down in Orlando for 50 years, and he finally had to quit because he couldn't get out of the water anymore because there's too much pressure on his shoulders.
Sure.
2 or 3 years later, he bought an Aqua Buddy. This
Aqua
product,
Buddy, yeah.
and was able to, with no stress on his joints, get back on the water. And so at age 83, he's back on the show. So it goes from and we have videos of kids as young as 3 years old getting up water skiing for the first time, and it would be almost impossible to expect them to get out of the water and stand up without being already up on the water like ours. And unlike other ski trainers that you pretend to be water skiing on top of some platform, this is actually using real skis. You pull behind a boat, and these kids are nervous, and they say they don't want to go, and you say, that's fine, don't go, I'm just going to pull you for a while. And after 100 yards, they get bored. All right, go ahead.
Stand up.
And you say 1, 2, 3, give it a little gas, they stand up, and off they go.
Yeah.
So, and that has sold thousands of that now. It's a very popular product on lakes. And
made in Minnesota.
Made in Minnesota, that's right.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. So you have your product development. So what else is unique how do you come up with ideas? I mean, I love that idea.
So we have a team, led by our head of R&D, Tom, who meets regularly, and we come up with ideas either from the marketplace or for ourselves. We look at the different parts of our line and say, where do we need to refresh or get new ideas from? And then we'll target a certain number of new products for every year. And the process would go where you come up with some concepts. We refine the concepts from 15 or 20 down to 4 or 5 for a particular area. And then of those 4 or 5 for that particular area, you say, let's do a prototype. We get some prototypes. We test them out. If they work great, we move forward. If they don't, then they don't. And we have a line right now of inflatable stand-up paddleboards, but we're expanding it next year. So we started by looking at sizes and shapes and graphics and came up with what we think is a really good line of brand new inflatable stand-up paddleboards, which we'll test this summer and we'll launch in the fall. But we're confident because we've already been doing it for years that we know they're going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just look in the market. If the market comes out with a product and we can make that product better and more attractive to the consumer, we would. So, for example, the water mats have been very popular the last 3 or 4 years, and they came out, made of foam and whatever, and all of the nuances around those particular mats. But we saw that they curled up on the ends. They were hard to stand on, and they were abrasive to some of the kids, and they deteriorate in the water, and they're very difficult to haul around because it's like hauling a 6-foot burrito with you. So we made an inflatable version of it, and ours has a slippery surface on it. It's like a slip and slide. It's much more sturdy in the water. The kids that play on ours, they just can't get enough of it. So, we just took a product that was in the market, we made a better product, and brought that product to the market. It's been very successful.
It's called the Water Whoosh.
The Water Whoosh, yeah, I saw it. Actually, I eyed it. You work a lot with air, obviously. Yeah, that's all. I mean, the inflatables. do your employees, do you own okay, what I mean is are your employees able to test, enjoy? Do they all own? Do they get gifts? Do they all live on the lake?
All of the above. They can buy products at cost and they test them out.
Yeah.
All of them help out with different product testing. At different times, we'll take people out into the lake or other places and do stuff with them. They help with photo shoots.
Yeah.
And many of them will just take the products either on their weekends or go up to the lake place, and they own a lot of our products too. So
no, I mean they must.
It'd be difficult to work here without being enthusiastic about water.
Right. So it's the perfect environment for a Minnesota person, I would say, to live, to work at a place with toys. I mean, it's like a kid in the candy store here a little bit.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
So it seems you have even snowshoes. I mean, you have year-round. How many different products do you actually have?
Well, one of our challenges, with being a summer water sports business is that's a season, right? And so we have been filling in the winter season with winter products, snowshoes, snow sleds, ice rinks. We have an inflatable ice rink that you put up and flood. And so the more winter and then our apparel company, our camouflage hunting apparel company. So all of those were kind of counter-seasonal to the summer season.
Sure.
And helped support us through the winter months when our revenues are less. But yeah, so we're trying to broaden out our line.
You have like 50 different items or more.
Oh, we've got hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, hundreds of items. I think our price card is probably 350 primary items just on the Rave side.
Oh, wow.
And then depending on sizes and so forth for clothing, it's probably another 300 items on the Wildfowler side.
Wow, that's a lot of product.
It's a lot of products, yeah.
But again, that ice rink, it's inflatable. So it seems you really, that's maybe the heart of the company.
It has been historically, yes.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Interestingly, with the ice rink, we sell thousands of them at Target each year. And we get these people who will buy one down in Texas. They'll inflate it, and then they'll pour water in it because it has a border, right? And the idea is you pour water in the middle of this border. It's like a little pool, and if the ground is flat enough, it'll hold the water long enough for it to freeze. And these people in Texas will call us up and wonder why the water's not freezing.
Yeah, how do we get it?
How do we get it to
freeze?
freeze?
Make ice?
How do we get it to make ice? And we're like, no, you do need to be at a temperature where it's below 32 degrees.
Ooh la la. I hope you didn't get sued over that. They promised me ice.
Probably getting their money back, but
oh my God. Yeah,
had a good chuckle in the process.
That's funny.
One of the fun things about the business is that not only do we have a lot of fun recreational products, but we have a great staff. I mean, our employees we have a pretty free, open atmosphere. They're all fun-loving people and by nature to work here. And, we have barbecues out back once a month, where we can all sit around and chat. We have
one of our mandates is to do 10 fun activities during this year. So last week we went to a speakeasy and had drinks after work, and we'll grill out, or we'll go out and test products for a day, or anyway, we've only done 1 or 2 so far. We've still got 8 or 9 left to go for the year, but we'll get them in for sure.
Do you take summer interns in the marketing department?
Yes, we do. In fact, we have him right now from Thayer is from Breck High School. He's working for us for a couple of weeks. We have had and we'll continue to have other kids that will come in and work for us either in the R&D department or in our marketing department. We've got 3 college kids that are back, all friends of mine's kids who are working in the warehouse for the summer. I've got 2 boys that are in college, and they'll probably come and do some work on some stuff this summer as well. But we've had other, younger people that come in and help us each summer.
Maybe some listeners from your alma mater. You're a Concordia graduate, you said?
Yes.
Maybe somebody in the there's an art program. Maybe in the who knows?
Well, in fact, Tom Plant went to Stout, and he's on the board. I think it's Stout, and he's hired several interns from Stout. We've had several people that came from there because he's connected to the group of people there, and that's been a great feeder program for us as well.
Yeah. In fact, our banker is from Concordia, so we
also
got a tie in there. Yes, from Choice Bank.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's
and one of our sales guys went to St. Olaf, and I'm a St. Olaf grad, so we like to keep the roots going.
Yeah, that's really cool. If I was younger, I would leave my application right here, because even your board room. You pointed it out, Steve. This is our boardroom, and there's a board. And I thought, yes, that's where the board meets. And no, you meant the table. So we're sitting on a
Both. We're in
big
the boardroom
board.
at a table which looks
Yes,
like a
it's
stand-up
amazing.
paddleboard. Yeah.
There's a big Rave Sports.
In fact,
board.
we did this board. Our factory made it for us specifically for this room when we moved to these offices. And the CEO of the YMCA from Minneapolis and St. Paul was here buying some product for his family and doing things, and saw this and loved it so much he commissioned a board so that for their boardroom in the new YMCA facility that opened up last summer, they have this same board but with the YMCA logo on the front.
Although it does say Rave Sports on the
Does say
side.
Rave Sports on the
So we are down at the YMCA.
We're down at the YMCA. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I think it's really fascinating, and maybe you don't admit it as much as I heard. I think you live lake life inside, skiing. So I don't think maybe it's a coincidence that you were passionate about owning a lifestyle company. I think it's a dream come true, probably. Yeah.
It is, yes.
Usually I ask, what do you like about lake life? Maybe tell us, everybody has a different connection to the water and the lake.
Sure.
What is your definition of lake life or passion?
Well, I mean, the weekends at the lake are obviously full of excitement because the kids come up and the activities are enormous, right? You're doing every activity you could think of on the water, and the kids enjoy that. But and I enjoyed throughout the years with my kids, and as they're there, and now I have some grandkids, and they're coming out to the lake, so that's all fun. But I tell you, there's nothing better than being at the lake during the week when you can go out and sit on the deck and there's nobody around and look over the nice, peaceful, calm water and have a cup of coffee and look at the lake. I mean, that, to me, I guess the older I get, the more I enjoy that rather than all the activity of the kids. But both of them are very, a lot of activity and also very peaceful, both.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I love being out on the boat, doing water skiing or taking kids towing the towables. We get kids coming up to me all the time, again, because we share this facility with all these other families. They'll come up and say, hey, Steve, can we go skiing at 10? Can we go tubing at 10? Sure.
Is the slot open at 10?
Then we just all kind of meet down there, and it ends up being 10:30 sometimes because we're having coffee or making breakfast or whatever it is. But they're all relaxed about it because they know they're going to get out on the water. And with us, there isn't a line that says, well, I got to get out there first, because they know there's enough people, enough drivers. So if I'm driving the boat and I get tired after an hour and a half, I hand the keys to Tom or Julie or whoever's there, right, and say, hey, you want to take over? And then they take over, and now they're doing it. And my kids know that they can go with their kids. It's very interesting because with these 7 families that, extended families that are up there, I could walk in any morning and sit down and pour myself a cup of coffee and start eating breakfast, and no one would think it was weird. With different families. And same thing with their kids. We have their kids up at our house and we're having lunch, and their kids jumping in the fridge, grabbing out sandwich meat and making a snack, right? And you're like, well, that's the Wildwood way. That's what we're at. And for me, that atmosphere of being, as Bruce mentioned, now you're relaxed and there's activities, but there's a peace about being out in the lake. And that's what's so very special for us. And, even though the invention was originally the trampolines, all the other things that we can provide for access and fun at the lake just makes it so that it's an enjoyable place for people to come and have fellowship and be together for a really good time.
So lake time, being on lake time, right? It's just the atmosphere.
Whole different deal.
Everything changes, yeah? Okay, I hear that. I forgot to ask stories, like with your, is there, like, do you get, what are those? Pull behinds.
Towables, yeah.
Towables.
Tubes, as they call them. We started as kids doing inner tubes from big tractors. And they had this giant nozzle that would stick out of it and jab you as you go. And you'd tie a rope on this thing and just yank yourself behind it. And now they're so sophisticated, and they range in price from $50 to $500.
Yeah. So people fly with it too, right? Like, do you have?
Yeah, so there was a company that did that, and several people got hurt or killed early on.
No. I don't mean the dramatic.
You just jump, flying,
just like
bouncing around.
like a second.
Yeah.
So do people are so passionate about, like, do they send you pictures, or like do they share their, like?
In fact, we have this new thing called ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we enlist people who are interested in sharing their stories and their experiences and pictures with us, and then they become a Rave brand ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a special deals they can get, and people can sign up on our website. But we have a large Facebook following, tens of thousands of Facebook followers, and we're in communication a lot with the end users because it is such a fun time.
So is there like a Rave? Do you feel that your users consume are they like a Rave family? Do you have a lot of ambassadors? Are they passionate? I mean,
We do.
Yeah,
Just our Facebook group, which is huge, to have over 10,000 people that are involved in our Facebook is huge.
yeah.
People.
and we'll do special promotions that will give away a paddleboard or something, and we'll send it out to all of our Facebook fans, and then they'll apply and send stuff in and send pictures and stories, and then one of them will win, and they're like, oh, I've never won anything in my life, and they're so excited to be
Yeah.
a part of that.
So they really engage
They really
because it's a
engage, yeah.
lifestyle product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it must be really pleasing, yeah, to
Yeah,
connect
that's very fun.
to your
Sure, you bet. To your customer, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Put a smile on everybody's face.
Right. I mean, you have been sitting here and smiling the whole time, and you too. It's fascinating. I smile anyways. Did I forget anything? Did you want to explain something special? Or
I think the main takeaway for me would just be that people recognize us as the yellow and blue trampolines.
right.
And we're way much more than that. And we are, as you mentioned, the lake fun people. And if they, go to ravesports.com or go to one of our retailers to see what we have, we'd encourage you to test and see that Rave is much more than just those yellow and blue trampolines that are out on the lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I hope I hear more and see more and try more, and yeah.
We
Thank
got to
you.
get you out on one of those.
Yeah,
totals.
we'll get you product testing.
I would love to. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, this was already our newest episode of the Lake Life Weekend podcast. We sure hope you enjoyed it. Tune in again next week with another great guest and updates. Always check out our website, lakelifeweekend.com, and if you have some comments, please feel free to email us at hello@lakelifeweekend.com, and you have a wonderful weekend ahead.